Hey guys, this is Deadly. Welcome back to Ask Deadly, the weekly show where I answer your guys' questions that you leave me in the comment section below, and also talk about some things that are going around the channel, and also things in the gaming community, so let's get started. First question comes from Michael C. Deadly, what happened to the Survivalist series? That's pretty simple. I just ran out of things to do. There's only so many things in DayZ standalone that actually have survival tendencies, and we can't really build improvised bushcrafting bases yet. The tanning in the pelt system is okay, but it gets a little stale fast. Currently in 0.61 you can't even snare rabbits at the moment because they took the wire out of the game, and snaring rabbits is actually one of the best survival things in DayZ standalone because you do get the meat and you get the pelts that you can tan into leathers. Essentially, and it's a sure way of always getting leather for creating items, and those items you can use for like bartering with other survivors and stuff. So it is a little disappointing that that is taken out of the game, and also the fishing system is a little wonky right now too. It does work at times, but there are issues if you're trying to fish with other players. So basically, we just need to wait until there's a better patch to come out and there's more survival mechanics added into the game, and whenever that happens, I'll be continuing the series. Next question comes from Stuart. You should give Rust a try. It's much more fast-paced and the guns require skill to use. I think you'd like it. Well, I actually have played Rust before, and I made videos on Rust a long time ago. I just am not into survival sandboxes like Rust, 7 Days to Die, Ark. They're great games, don't get me wrong, but I'm more interested in like the adventure, the travel, the encounters. So if you can give me a game that's like that, then I'll be more interested in trying it. And right now we only have DayZ Standalone, Miscreated, H1Z1 Just Survive, potentially Scum. I know that video that I uploaded yesterday got a lot of negative feedback from people that are just tired of early access games. And there's also a few people who thought that that video was sponsored. I just want to say it wasn't. I just made it because I thought that game looked interesting and I wanted to inform like the audience about it because this is a channel about survival shooters. So I want to see some more survival shooters out there. There's also a lot of potential for PUBG modding's community to see if they can actually make a survival shooter that kind of works inside that engine. So man, Rust is just a little bit different for my liking, and it also requires a big group, I think, to be competitive, and I'm just not interested in that type of stuff. I'm more interested in actually like finding the guns in the world and then also kind of working through a post-apocalyptic environment. I think that's probably just for the best. Hey Deadly, you still thinking about the official Deadly Nation server, or is it just a pipe dream? I've actually already made that server and it didn't go very well at all. So I really need like a good active administrator to want to actually patrol the server. But because I play so much on DayZ Underground EU and I contribute financially to DayZ Underground EU, that is really the server that I'm playing on. So the Deadly Nation server is essentially the Doug EU server. And in the current state of DayZ, the only reason why I would have my own server is to do like myth busting and gun testing and community events with the subscribers. Hey Deadly, yesterday I was playing PUBG with some friends and we were discussing movement engine for Battlegrounds. So my question is, do you think that PUBG needs an engine where you can jump over high fences and do other parkour stuff? Or do you think that that's not right for the engine of the game? I really want to hear your opinion about PUBG's game engine and maybe what you dislike about it. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep being #1. Wishing you all the best. Yeah, it is actually really annoying where there's this little tiny fence and you're just like jumping and you can't get over it. The jumping mechanics in PUBG are a little weird. I think they need to add like a vaulting key for like stepping over fences and small little items on the ground. Whenever jumping, you're just sort of like running into them and you're like running and jumping, but for whatever reason you still get caught. I still think though a lot of people don't like the jumping in PUBG, but I actually do. I think it actually has a purpose because of their inertia system. Jumping can actually be a bad thing because you slow down and then when you hit the ground you kind of stop for a little second, and whenever you're stopped you can get shot really easily. It's not like DayZ where you can just like serpentine and shit all over the place. So I think the jumping definitely has a place in PUBG because it's not being exploited as much like other shooters out there. But I think a vault key would be cool to add. I just recently started playing DayZ again. I have over 1,600 hours, but I took a 6-month break. Now my aim is garbage. How can I get back into it? Dude, with any video game out there, just by putting in the time and playing. There's a number of servers like Bambiland and Good vs. Evil that have specialized camps that are in Berezino and other coastal towns. If you want to try to become better at shooting at players, that might be a good idea, but the only problem with those servers is it doesn't really give you an authentic DayZ experience, and you'll probably just end up getting killed in kill trades all the time with people with M4s and stuff like that. So that could be a little bit frustrating. It won't really give you the experience that you actually need for regular DayZ standalone play. But it's a good training area, and if you want to get a feel for some of the weapons again, that's what I would recommend that you do. Hey Deadly, I play DayZ solo almost all the time and rarely with a friend. I enjoy playing by myself, but it feels like I'm putting at a big disadvantage in combat. Do you have any tips for solo players? I think when it comes to facing squads, especially, like your ultimate goal is to try to kill as many people as possible so you can level the playing field. So if you ever see an opportunity where you can rush in and get a quick kill and get out of there, you should totally do it. One method that can work but is a little weird is baiting players, so firing a gunshot. Typically what ends up happening, especially if someone's looting, somebody will go over there and scout the area kind of to try to spot you, and when they're doing that, it's essentially one-on-one and you might be able to take them out, or you're just going to get a squad bum rush your location and kill you. So when it comes to Lone Wolf, just trying to think smart about the situation is all that I can recommend. What's going on, Winston? He's hanging out. He's interested in the questions this week. Other than that, I would just try to play a lot slower than you normally do if you're playing with a squad. Moving slower and spotting your enemies before they spot you is incredibly important when it comes to staying alive. What's your opinion on the messages that constantly pop up when you're hungry or thirsty? Personally, I feel like they can ruin the immersion. Well, they're probably going to be removed when they add in their lower right-hand corner. There's going to be a lot of status indicators, just like in DayZ mod. So that's the direction that they're going, which might be less immersive than the current system in the game. So it just depends on what you like. And I personally believe the way it is essentially, if you're a real person, you're going to be feeling hungry, you're going to be feeling thirsty, you're going to be feeling tired. And not having those status indicators in a video game is kind of unrealistic in a way, because you're not able to take stock of what your character is feeling. Sure, they can add like your stomach growling, or like maybe like the guy says, "Man, I feel thirsty," like they do in the Long Dark. But that's just still a little weird because you can't feel what your character is feeling. So the indicators need to be there in order to have a better understanding of where your character is in the game. Would you think some of the military guns from the mod will make it into DayZ standalone? Example like the DMR or the AS-50? I don't think the AS-50 or the M107 are ever going to make it into DayZ standalone. From the perspective of a lot of hardcore DayZ players, those two weapons do not belong in an environment like DayZ. They're just too powerful, too heavy, too unrealistic for a survival situation, especially when vehicles are introduced into the game as well. They have the ability to one-shot helicopters, and that's just not fun for anybody. Just wondering if you notice barrel spawns more frequently in any particular areas of Chernarus, and what sort of locations would you recommend for hiding a stash? Well, the barrel spawns are really only depending on what server you're playing on. Like, for example, if you're playing on a server that wipes its persistency on a daily basis, you're going to be finding barrels in almost every town that you go in because of how common they are. But if you're playing on a server like DayZ Underground, where the persistency is only wiped once every 2 months or so, barrels are already stashed away and hidden, so you actually have to go and find them in the woods and stuff. I would say probably the best place to hide barrels is inside of pine trees, because you can actually find trees that can completely shroud the barrel 360 degrees around it. And particularly in the deep northwestern regions of the map, there's lots of very thick pine groupings that will be perfect locations for hiding a stash. The only problem is you have to run all the way back up there if you want to access that loot. Another good spot to put stuff is around the Steroy and Goglovo area, but just know that there's going to be more high traffic through those locations, so the likeliness of your stash being found increases dramatically. What do you think about shotgun attachments? Are they too OP, or do you think there should be things like chokes added to the game? Well, I think shotguns right now are in an okay state. I think the spread of the shotguns, at least the double barrel and the MP133, need to be toned down a little bit. Their spread is a little bit too far for the distances that it's shooting at. Like, you should be able to shoot a shotgun 100 yards and have a pretty tight grouping, like a 3-foot grouping. Right now in DayZ, Like, that's like only 15 to 20 yards away, and it has like a 3-foot grouping. So it can be a little bit different. I think the best game that does shotguns is Escape from Tarkov. It is the most realistic of any video game I've ever seen when it comes to shotgun mechanics. So DayZ can definitely take a lot of knowledge from that game's systems. So a lot of people complain about the shotguns in DayZ right now because of how powerful they are at CQB, but I think that the reason why they're so powerful is because their spread is so wide. So if you tighten up the spread of the double barrel, the MP133, and the pistol grip, and the sawed-off shotgun can maintain that wide spread, I think you're going to have a lot more diversity with shotgun choices, and accuracy is going to have to become more of a thing, because if they tighten up the shotgun spreads, if you do land your shot, it's going to be more devastating, but you're going to have a higher chance of missing, and I think that's what the shotguns need right now. But I do like DayZ shotguns. They do need to be adjusted a little bit. As for like rails, obviously there is a rail that should be able to be put on an MP133, so when slugs are introduced into the game, putting like a little red dot on a shotgun would be cool, but it's totally not required. The shotguns don't necessarily need that type of stuff. As for the choke attachment could be the solution, like what I just said. It could tighten up the group. You can find the attachment yourself, but I just think that the shotguns do need to be reworked. But I think the damage is fair. Like, if you're right up against somebody in DayZ and you pull the trigger in someone's chest, it should kill you. It's just, a lot of people don't like that, but it should kill you. Hey Deadly, do you think DayZ is becoming too realistic due to the new stamina and exhaustion system being added into the future updates? After all, it is just a game, not real life simulator. Well, actually, the game is trying to simulate realism as best as they can, so they want to introduce an inertia and stamina system that feels good for the game, and it needs it desperately. I think that's one of the biggest criticisms about DayZ right now, is the fact that you can basically run forever, and the inertia system allows in the most insane serpentining defense, which is super unrealistic and very, very game breaking in my opinion. So I'm looking forward to that. And again, this is a post-apocalyptic survival shooter. It's trying to become as ruthless as possible while being as fun as possible. It is just a video game, but I think when it comes to immersion, DayZ still has a long way to go, but it's definitely on the right track. Well guys, that's going to be it for this week's episode of Ask Deadly. Thank you for everybody who left their questions last week. If you want to get a chance to get your question in next week's video, then please do let me know in the comment section below of this video. You guys can ask me a variety of different questions. It doesn't just need to be about DayZ. It can be about other video games, real life, or just random questions. And again, I'll see you guys during the daily live streams every single morning at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time and Sundays at noon.